Hey, good morning. It's Jason from Fraser Valley Rose Farm. Today I'm having a plant sale on the farm here. You can see behind me I've got these annuals, I've got perennials on the next two tables, all lined up for sale to customers. I've got roses set up throughout the greenhouse here. If you're considering doing a plant sale, I'd like to take you through my process of how I've grown the plants, how I've set them up, whether you're just a backyard farmer who's just trying to have another source of revenue, or whether you're a garden club. I hope this could be useful information for you. So the first thing I wanted to start with is, where do I get my plants? So these annuals here are all grown from seed, and the perennials behind them are almost all grown from seed too. Now the annuals come to color really quickly. So you can see that within a course of 8 weeks, 10 weeks, but even some of the herbs take less than that. So if you're talking about cilantro, you're talking about nasturtiums, you can seed those and have them ready for sale within 4 to 6 weeks pretty easily. So lots of opportunity there on the seed end. I wanted to say one word on the perennials here. Those are the two benches behind, is that perennials don't go into color as quickly as the annuals. So you can see on the annuals I've got lots of flowers, lots of color to sell these, and on the perennials they don't go into color quite so quickly, and so you're having to sell those based on a promise, based on the idea that people will see the tags, see the pictures, and decide to grow them themselves. So for that reason, having picture tags is really important, something that shows off what the plant is going to do. Now, is it worth it doing perennials? I think so, absolutely. I grow my perennials from a seed company called Gelito. They don't pay me to do this, they just happen to be really, really good, have a great selection of seed. And what I find is that based on annuals and perennials I can charge more money for. Even though they're not in color, even though they don't look as ready to the customer, I can usually charge $1 extra a pot selling perennials over annuals. So worth doing. The second thing I'll say about the annuals is they're a short-term kind of a risk. They will actually mature quickly but overgrow quickly, and if I have them left over at the end of the season, I'm done, I'm throwing them away. Whereas the perennials are a little bit slower, and at the end of the season, if I still have them left, I can just pot them into a larger pot size and carry them over to the next year. Let me show you some of the larger perennials and shrubs that I'm doing here as well. On these two tables here, I have some of my larger perennials and shrubs. The perennials I've usually done in this case from division, from mature plants out in the garden. So that gets you a larger plant quicker, or from carryover of the perennials that I've grown in previous years that didn't sell and I've potted them up. So I can sell them for a little more money. In a larger pot like this, I can be selling a perennial for $5 instead of over there where I'm selling them in a small pot for half of that, or $3 roughly. So one thing I will say on the perennial end that I didn't mention previously is that some perennials are tender perennials and some are hardy perennials. I like to make that clear on the tags. So this gentian sage here is actually grown as an annual in my climate. Even though it is technically a perennial in some climates, it's gorgeous. It grows fast from seed like this with these hot electric blue flowers. So great seller and worth the price, but unless you're willing to overwinter it like a dahlia, lift up the tubers and bring it in, it probably won't survive our climate here. If you're in a warmer climate, it might be a different story. And last but certainly not least here, I have my roses, and all of these I do from cuttings, with the exception of just a couple of the species varieties that I grow from seed. And they bring a lot of customers to me. I mean, I know I specialize in roses, but when I'm doing a plant sale, it's nice to have a couple of sexy plants, things that people are really after in their garden. And I've lined up my roses here, A to Z, and it will bring in a lot of customers for me today. So I know I covered a bit of this territory in my video on selling at the farmer's market, but in case you didn't catch that one, or if I can point you that direction, signage I think is super important. In this case, I don't want my customers wasting their time, or even my time necessarily, asking questions about how much something is, what its growing conditions are. And so by making up these tags, you answer all those questions for them. They're going to know what it looks like, not that they wouldn't have seen anyway, but they're going to know what it looks like. They're going to have some information about whether it's tender or hardy. I'll put information in there about whether it's going to be need extra watering, or whether it's a spready or invasive or type plant, and I'll put that right on the tag just so that they know what to expect when they put it in their garden, and I don't have to answer quite so many questions during the day. I'm in a good position to compare for you the difference between doing a plant sale like this and selling your plants at a farmer's market or other growing events, because I do both. Most of the year I sell my plants at the farmer's market, or I go to plant sales hosted by other people. And I gotta tell you, there's pluses and minuses to both things. So if I go to a farmer's market, it reduces my amount of effort for the day. I don't have to try to attract customers. I don't have to advertise. I don't have to put anything out on Facebook or Craigslist or anything like that. I can just fire the plants into the back of my van. I can go to a known venue. They'll attract the customers for the most part. And at the end of the day, I pack them up and bring them back home, and that's the end of my effort. Here, hosting an event on my own farm, I really do have to pay attention to all those things. I have to advertise it myself. I have to look at parking. I have to look at mowing and maintaining the landscape around the yard. They will see my weeds, which is something that they won't see at the farmer's market. And the other thing is that at the farmer's market, I pick through a limited selection of plants to go with me. One advantage to doing it this way is I don't have to pick through. I can put my whole assortment, as I say, roses A through Z. I've got all my large perennials, all my annuals, all my small perennials with me. So if customers come, they have the benefit of the full assortment. One other thing I can do here that I couldn't do at the farmer's market is plants like these behind me on my left are bought in. I bought them in to top up my selection of roses, so I have a supplier who gave me some bare root roses, and normally at a farmer's market, unless you've grown the plants from start to finish or some criteria like that, they don't consider them to be your plants. And for that reason, you would be a reseller and not permitted at the farmer's market. So you got to watch things like that at the farmer's market. Whereas here at the farm, I have a free hand to top up my assortment by using suppliers. So one last thing I had to consider when thinking about doing an event like this is how much time to spend doing weeding and trimming and deadheading and mowing and cleaning up the yard. And the answer is I had to be pragmatic about it. My customers know that I work off the farm and that the time that I spend here has to be spent on the highest value activity. Presenting the plants for sale, for me, was directly related to revenue, whereas mowing the yard wasn't. So to the degree that they may have to walk through a little bit of tall grass to get to the gardens, or that they may see some weeds in the garden, that's okay with me. Now, my gardens do look okay, and it's kind of nice if they can wander around, look and get inspired and see some of the plants in the garden that they will want to buy from the tables. So for me, that's all plus, and that's all a positive thing, but it isn't the main reason that they're here. The main reason they're here is for the plant sale and to see me. So that is the end of it. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope that this answers some of your questions about running a successful plant sale, and I know I've probably missed something. So if you have any questions specifically about what I do or what you might want to do, drop those in the comments below, and thanks so much for watching.